What's happened on MasterChef? Apparently, Meghan has had a meltdown.
Meghan needs conflict. She seeks it. She engineers it. We've been here before. Doesn't this always happen? Meghan is just such a disruptor. She's a control freak. The palace, in my view, wanted to protect the Sussexes. They've lost upwards of 20 people since Megxit. To get through staff like you wouldn't believe.
This is what we've heard from sources on MasterChef.
Oh my gosh, I think you have dropped the microphone of all microphones.
Mark, Meghan Markle has finally returned to TV. She's making her big comeback.
Of course.
Right?
We've missed her.
Has it gone great?
I've missed her flower sprinkles.
Didn't miss them on MasterChef, mate. So go on. What's happened on MasterChef? Apparently, Meghan has had a meltdown.
Another public relations dumpster fire.
Right.
More negative headlines.
Mm-hmm.
What do the Sussexes specialise in? Misery. Nothing that they do. There is no transaction with the Sussexes that is not pathological, negative, and absolutely conflict-ridden. So you know the world of TV. You're a player in the media. You go on a show like MasterChef Australia. It's a very pleasant experience. They send a Mercedes-Benz or a BMW if you're roughing it. Early in my career, it was an Audi. But they got the memo.
Is this in your Balls of Steel days?
Of course. I hosted a show on British TV called Balls of Steel, which made me very famous, completely went to my head.
Can't tell.
10 years in rehab, look at me now. But look, the bottom line is it's a very pleasant experience going on one of these TV shows. And they send you a car and you get there and you've got a million people around you offering you tea and little snacks. You have your green room and you've got your sparkling water. So the whole thing should have just been a great moment for the Meghan brand. That she goes on MasterChef and she kind of, recalibrates her kind of the whole kind of the idea of Meghan being the cook, the chef, the homemaker, because that was the brand. Let's not forget a year ago. Yeah, Meghan with the flower sprinkles at home in the kitchen with Love Meghan, the Netflix show. So the big idea is that she was going to be the new Martha Stewart, who of course is a legend in the United States, a cultural figure with homewares and recipes and all the rest of it. So Meghan was going to be that. And this was an opportunity to remind the world that Meghan is really passionate about food, about great ingredients. Of course, she loves gardening, doesn't she? But mysteriously on her show, she managed to go into her own garden, her own fictional alleged garden, right? And she managed to get like cucumbers and strawberries and I don't know, bananas. Aren't they from the Caribbean?
Because it was a set, right? It was a set that they had specially sort of like hired out for the show. So clearly she's got some sort of probably Mexican gardener, let's be frankly honest.
I should say so. Minimum wage. Philippines if you're lucky.
Exactly, doing the strawberries for her. But she loves gardening, Mark. She loves cooking as well. She's cooking stuff like cheese on crackers.
All very complicated recipes. So the incredible recipe that would even be hard for Gordon Ramsay to pull off was cutting up fruit and putting it on a plate, which, I mean, I've watched it 10 times. I still can't do it.
The one that still blows my mind is when she was like, look, watch this, lads, right? If you chop your bread at a slight angle, it's like in the restaurant, isn't it? Wow.
Anyway, I love your interpretation
Mark,
of Meghan.
We're getting so off
I love
the
your
track.
interpretation of Meghan is that she uses the words lad.
No,
but so that's it. So that's what we had with the original brand. So she can come back and she can be the We Love Meghan sort of figure. Instead, what do we have? Well, my sources in Australia, which, by the way, the TV industry in Australia is huge. And these channels, they make a lot of money, make a lot of viewers, and a lot of Australian media content is exported around the world. So this is a great platform for Meghan. By the way, hopefully more successful than their horrible fake royal trip to Australia, in which they hung out with child cancer victims and hugged victims of Bondi Beach. Yikes. Anyhow, so what I'm hearing is that Meghan's had a row, as usual, about how she's being described. And of course, what are they going to do? In how they market the show, they're saying, this is MasterChef Australia. We're going to create recipes fit for a duchess. We're going to be, is it good enough for a frontline royal, that kind of thing. So what I'm hearing is that Meghan kicked off and that she doesn't want to be royal and she doesn't want to be marketed as Duchess this. And of course, on camera, she's like, just call me Meghan. But this is incredibly confusing because on her own show, with love, Meghan, which no one except a few angry journalists actually watched, yourself and myself included. I've still got PTSD. You'll remember that she had an encounter with the comedian Mindy Kaling, who said it's great to be working with Meghan Markle, which in Australia on TV is what she wants to be called. And Mindy says, great to be working with Meghan Markle. Meghan, flash of rage in her eyes. Didn't you know I'm not Meghan Markle anymore? I'm Meghan, Duchess of Sussex. So which is it, Megs? And I think the reason why it's so confusing is that Meghan needs conflict. She seeks it. And are you ready for this? She engineers it.
Wow.
So for the people producing this show, when they say, you know, a dish fit for a duchess, you know, royal this, you know, all that is, that's hyperbole, isn't it? You know, that's just the sales pitch for the show to get viewers. And so she's deliberately overreacted to this. It tells us a few things. She's very thin-skinned. It tells us that she's totally self-obsessed. All she can think about is how was she introduced. And I mean, I could complain about how I'm introduced on this show. Sometimes I find it very dismissive.
I didn't even really bother today, Franco. I said Mark.
JJ occasionally calls me some geezer, which that's not a title, is it? Random bloke was another one. I'm an elite level broadcaster and
TV
journalist.
legend, Mark David.
Yeah, I'm a force.
Where is JJ today?
We've had to let him go.
Yeah, sadly. Not so sadly.
It
was the laugh.
I mean,
It
you
was the
can't
laugh.
say too much on the show, but our audience do deserve an explanation. It was behaviour related.
Yeah. There was
And-
something about you and him in the toilets. Anyway, we'll
what I'm going to say
we'll
is
move on.
it's like the Me Too movement never happened, is what I'm saying. So he's old school, JJ. Right, but yeah.
Just
so
to be clear, JJ has not been sacked. He'll be back in a
love
couple of
JJ.
days. Anyway,
I'm actually pining for him.
I know. I'm sorry, mate.
No. You're doing a better job. So look, here's the deal, right? So a row with producers. But we've been here before. Doesn't this always happen? So what about the Kardashian story when they go to Kris Jenner's 70th birthday? She's, of course, the matriarch of the Kardashians, one of the big families in US public life. They're lucky enough to be invited to this bash, which is her 70th. She looks about 33, which is confusing. She must take a lot of vitamins, is my assumption, because that's not natural. But anyhow, the bottom line is that was a row because photographs of Harry and Meghan were published on Instagram by members of the Kardashian family. We then hear from the relentless and ruthless Sussex public relations machine, which never sleeps, that they wanted those photographs taken down.
Dear me.
The Sussexes then claim that there was an opt-out for photos of having your photo taken on the invitation. The Kardashians, some of whom are lawyers, so they're not stupid and know their onions, said there was no such. I feel I'm losing you.
No, you're
there
not.
was no such opt-out. So, you know, here we are, the Buckingham Palace row. The palace offer, I know we're going to come to that, the palace offer Harry a room. And they just need 1 week notice, right? He can't come 3 days before. 3 days before he says, yeah, go on then. And then it's too late. A war of words. So this is the currency of the Sussexes. How you can have conflict on a daytime TV show about cookery is wild. But that's Meghan.
It's nuts, isn't it? They just love a fight. They're addicted to drama.
Yeah.
And this is what we've heard, Mark.
Bingo.
So this is what's coming out of
God, you are
sources
better than
behind the
JJ.
scenes.
Jesus.
You think so?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah.
He better not watch that. This is something that I'm not familiar with, which they call journalism.
Poor JJ watching this in New York. Anyway, look, this is what we've
You
heard
can
from
stay
sources
there.
on. This is what we've heard from sources on MasterChef. Dear me, Mark. This is what we've heard from sources on MasterChef. Right? Apparently, Meghan has had a tense moment with one of the judges called Miss Yao after she was announced as royalty at the beginning of the episode, so like you said. And then this is coming from celeb journo Rob Shooter, who I believe you've spoken about before.
Yeah.
Citing multiple
And
production
I've got
sources.
friends in Australia, and I've heard exactly the same story.
Oh,
It
really?
squares with Rob Shooter. And I always think that when you can stand up a story with two sources, you got something.
Well, multiple production sources are saying that Mark, this is unbelievable.
Well, let's be honest, they're telling anyone that will listen because
Yes.
it's probably quite traumatic for them.
Yes, exactly. They're saying that Meghan left production staff exhausted. A source said she was one of the most demanding celebrity guests apparently the series has ever hosted. That goes on, right? According to this report, she came with an extensive list of requests and wanted every part of the production to just revolve around her, basically, right? Does that sound familiar, Mark?
I mean, that's Meg's just all over, isn't it?
Oh, it's just nuts. I mean, this is what we heard from her in her time in the royal family, right? There's all these allegations of her bullying staff, demeaning them, demanding the world of them at the God knows what hour of the day, no matter what their shift might have been. I mean, what do you reckon on this, Mark? Do you think this is legit? Do you think this is probably
you're
maybe
so
confected?
right. I'm really glad that you reminded us about the bullying allegations. Now, we will protect ourselves legally and say that any bullying allegations against the Duchess were never upheld.
Yep.
But they also were not unupheld, which I'm delighted to say is a brand new word that I've given the world.
Everything is digital now, isn't it? Your money, your photos, even your loyalty card at the coffee shop. So there's something quietly brilliant about owning one thing that isn't on a screen. Real gold bullion. The weight of it, the shine, it's just a lovely thing to hold. The Pure Gold Company, which was voted the UK's best gold broker, makes owning physical gold really simple. Tax-free gold coins from the Royal Mint with friendly one-to-one guidance from your first question to final delivery. There's no jargon, no pressure, no call centre queues. It's insured to your door or stored in a secure professional vault. So visit the Pure Gold Company today and tell them JJ sent you.
Our lawyers will be satisfied, I'm sure.
They were unupheld. And the reason why is because the palace, in my view, wanted to protect the Sussexes by not publishing the details. Because, I mean, I would humbly suggest that if you've got bullying allegations, there's an inquiry, there's an internal inquiry done by palace officials. If it exonerated Meg's and Harry, surely that would come out. That would be a good news story, wouldn't it? If you've had a win, do you not tell people?
You always tell people.
But that said, we have to give the Sussexes the benefit of the doubt. And it may well be there were no bullying allegations. It may just be that it was a blanket decision not to reveal the details of the report. But what I do have, a couple of facts for you, which I know are unfashionable on this show, but let's go.
Not a usual MO.
Don't get used to this, because hyperbole and speculation is our comfort zone. It's what we do best. But seriously, here are some facts. The wild turnover of staff for which the Sussexes are responsible. And they've lost upwards of 20 people since Megxit. PR people, charity workers. And it's worth pointing out that, was it Vanity Fair in their piece revealed or coined the term Sussex Survivors Club?
Wow.
For the names of those who have worked with the Sussexes. Allegations of grown men reduced to tears. You've got some really big PR folk in America who have worked for TV networks, they've worked for big celebrities, and they've been with Meghan and Harry for less than a year. These people are not shrinking violets. And yet. Meredith Maines, for example, right? Do you know one of her big jobs before working with Harry and Meghan was a really senior PR role at Netflix, the streaming giant, right? Do you think it's a bed of roses being, the head of PR at Netflix? Do you think that's an easy job?
Absolutely not. Netflix were famous for a while, and I'm sure some of our listeners will be familiar, famous for having a grading system for their employees. And if you were C grade or below, you got the chop on the day. Basically, they do these quarterly reviews, and it was just like,
and without being unkind, that's why they're number one, because they have a high standard. So Meredith Maines, a very talented lady, she can handle that white knuckle ride of working for Netflix. Ted Sarandos, a brilliant guy, but a demanding man.
Certainly,
who's the boss.
Quite right.
He wants to meet us, by the way, later.
Oh dear.
We do a Zoom.
Well, they've done the rest of football, and now they're like, well, what's the next biggest thing? It's Daily Expresso.
Bottom line is that these people, so that you can't argue, well, I'm going to give the Sussexes the benefit of the doubt about the bullying allegations because we just don't know. Yeah. What we do know is they get through stuff like you wouldn't believe. And now here we are. Meghan goes on. And by the way, if this is how she allegedly behaves on a show that's not even hers, because I get it, right? Sometimes if you're a star and, let's say it's your production and David Letterman's one of my broadcasting heroes. That guy, I'm told, was like the emperor on his show, decides everything, he's the boss. You look at him the wrong way, you're out. That's fine, it's his project. But Meghan is a guest on someone else's show. They're very generous to welcome her. And by the way, fighting with a judge, I mean, this is like I mean, it's mad. But Mark, I should say, sources close to Meghan told The Express, us, that this was all BS. They're not their words exactly, but that's basically what they're saying. It's all BS, and that Meghan had an incredible time on the show, and there were absolutely no issues, nothing to look at here, Mark, behind the scenes. I should also say, to be fair, that the judges were publicly quite complimentary of Meghan afterwards, saying they had a lovely time, etc., etc. Look, Mark, whichever way it went behind the scenes,
this isn't a grand return to TV, is it? This is not
Bingo.
her grand return to Suits. This is being a guest, potentially a controversial one behind the scenes. She's a guest on Network 10 in Australia, which is, I understand, the 4th rated network in Australia. Not exactly a global blockbuster audience, is it?
That's awkward. I'm launching Mark Dolan tonight on Network 10 next Tuesday. It's going to be a big one. Of course. I mean, that's the point. She's going to take what she can get now, and no disrespect to Network 10 at all. And they'll be delighted, by the way, with all the noise and publicity around this.
Good get for them.
I don't know why, but Meghan is just such a disruptor. She's a control freak. She's such a troublemaker. And if we're going to, because you've quite rightly balanced things out, so the Sussex are like, this is fake news, okay? But this is a woman that is actually obnoxious when the cameras are rolling. It's not only behind the scenes. Her treatment of Mindy Kaling was awful. On her TV show, she had a very tall friend who was Brazilian, and she was like, "You're so tall," and she was so angry about it. And when anyone kind of is outshining her, because I studied that show, I did like a PhD in With Love Meghan.
Yeah.
That was my Vietnam. Right. And there was one guy that she had on, a brilliant chef, you know, and he was like lovely high energy. And she's like, "Have you had too much coffee?" She's such a furious woman. And by the way, what about the cringe call from Harry?
Oh.
Yikes.
He's just looking more and more like, Mark, me and you, we're both men. We have friends who, you know, maybe in their time have picked up girlfriends who are, shall we say,
Where's this going?
demanding, right?
Yeah, too right.
And you know what I mean?
High
And they suddenly
maintenance.
stop going out for drinks as much. They're suddenly less fun. They're suddenly like talking constantly about their partner, like me. You want to tell them to shut up, right? Man up, shut up. Like,
You are so
get your
right.
life back, man. And I see Harry and I just think that. I'm like, dude, like, you had your life before. People really liked you. You're in the army and stuff. Like, you had stuff to do. He had his own MO. And now he's, you know, a Zoom call on the back of MasterChef Australia. You just think, poor man.
Oh my gosh, I think you have dropped the microphone of all microphones. That we've all been there with a male friend, sometimes a female friend too, where they're just really social, loads of friends,
And then the next.
and they get hooked up with someone, and then we lose them. They're gone. And not only are they less accessible, sometimes almost ghosting, which means not replying to messages, sometimes they change as well. So you don't just physically lose them like, oh, we don't see Bill very much.
Yeah.
Bill's different. Bill's gone woke. Bill's talking about his feelings. It's like, Bill didn't have
It's like,
feelings.
shut, Bill. We're trying to have a pint.
Bill was famous for not having feelings.
Yeah, it's like, dude, the football's on. Like, stop with a,
Yeah, and that is, I mean, Harry is, what are we going to call it? VOG syndrome, right? Victim of girlfriend. VOG. Victim of girlfriend. And then you've got another one, which is VOW.
Victim of partner, Mark. We, like you say, it's both men and women. I think we should.
point.
This took a bit of a turn, but it's not just men with
You
this
know
happens to,
what?
right? It's women as well. The partners can be. Anyway, he
it's
looks like a bit of a bit
100%
part.
true.
It's embarrassing. Well, look, Mark.
Oh, and also, just briefly, did you notice how he's always got to say, "Oh, hello, my love. I love you. Hello, my love." Now, why does she demand that he so publicly says that? Right? Why is that? Well, because I think it's performative. James Walker, Daily Express, associate editor. Drinks are on him. Because I think they're trying to convince us that the marriage is so great. I think we're going. If we've got time, we'll come to the photo drop, Meghan's Instagram photos,
Yes.
right? A vomit-inducing image of Harry and Meghan having a great time together. Look how happy we are. And I think we've seen Harry and Meghan on this Australian show on Network 10.
Yeah.
I think that we've seen, again, the two of them trying to sell to the world that the marriage is fine. And I think it's anything but.
Quite agree, Mark. Quite agree. Well, look, if you're enjoying the show so far, please hit like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget that hype button as well. Mark, more people will see the episode, right? Hit the hype button. Hit the hype button. More people will see this video. Right, Mark, we're going to move on. Prince Harry, planning another visit to the UK. King Charles, very generous in his eternal wisdom, is inviting Harry to stay at Buckingham Palace again. And sources tell The Sun that Harry will give his notice in time this time.
How nice of him.
How nice of him.
How
right?
nice of him not to treat the greatest house in England like a hotel.
Like an Airbnb. Look, Mark,
Disgusting.
is this a mistake? I kind of feel like it's not a good move on King Charles's part.
Well, James Walker, Daily Express, associate editor.
Shall I reintroduce you or something?
I've heard
you-
not for
I feel-
long. I've heard not for long because of budget pressure, and that's fair enough. So enjoy it while it lasts, big guy.
Thanks, Mark.
Enjoy the entourage and the groupies.
For God's sake. Thank you, Mark. Right, carry on.
I think it's just going to be just replaced by reporter, the ultimate insult in Fleet Street. Here's the thing, right? Yes, I mean, it's a big mistake. Of course it is. Should we just remind ourselves, James, that the Oprah interview was so damaging to the monarchy that it might actually have brought the whole thing down?
Yeah.
You could conceivably bring down the British monarchy, destroy the royal family with an unjustified, unwarranted accusation of racism. It was certainly damaging to the brand. So how can somebody who has actively and for financial reasons damaged an institution? This wasn't free speech. This was an act of war. Free speech, okay, is I didn't like being a prince. That's free speech. Free speech was it's a goldfish bowl, it's a gilded cage. Free speech is my dad was emotionally unavailable when I was a kid. Free speech is I couldn't run around and do my thing that much. Right? Who's going to disagree with that? I don't personally disagree with a syllable of that. But lies about the family and about the institution. And then he goes back into the building and spends the night in a building that is the architectural manifestation of that institution. It's the nerve center, it's the headquarters, it's where the office is, and you've got the balcony. So how the idea that he gets back in there, what it feels to me like, James, is just a reward for disloyalty and a reward to a traitor. What I'd like to see, I understand that King Charles wants to hang out with his grandchildren, no problem. Wouldn't it be nice, by the way, if Thomas Markle Sr. had the same privilege? Fine. But it doesn't need to involve Harry being brought back into the royal fold. And I think when he gets into the Buckingham Palace and when he had Highgrove House, the messaging is clear. Harry is very much Prince Harry again. He's a member of the royal family. And that is a problem because it does not tally with how he has behaved.
Well, there's that, Mark. And there is also the issue of Harry having these huge vendettas in the UK right now, right? He's lost this big legal case against the Associated Newspapers, the owners of the Daily Mail. He now has a large legal bill hanging over his head. If he stays in Buckingham Palace, there's every chance that he could use Buckingham Palace as a bully pulpit to do social videos on the judges, blah, blah, blah. It's like he said last time, right? He was not magnanimous in defeat, right? He was saying all these judges, they got it all wrong,
Complete
yada, yada.
whitewash.
Yes, complete whitewash. These are judges serving at the king's behest. So will we see a scenario where the prince to the crown is insulting the king's own judges from Buckingham Palace of all places?
Well, you raise a great point because if there is a scandal whilst Harry is in the UK and whilst he's accommodated on a royal property, that scandal taints the monarchy, taints the royal family. In fact, it's lucky that he messed up last time round because his most recent visit to the UK for the Highgrove House reunion, he may, if he'd been more organised and said yes to the Buckingham Palace offer a week in advance, which is not a lot to ask, he may well have been at the palace when the news about that verdict came through. And so suddenly the palace like tied up in this scandal. And that's the problem with the Sussexes. You know, it's a little bit like leprosy. You know, you're not supposed to, right? It is. It's public relations leprosy. Don't hug Harry because God knows what's going to happen to your skin, right? In fact, I would put a bell, right? A PR leprosy bell on Harry. So whenever he comes into the room, he's like, dong, dong, here I come with more bad headlines. Look out, everyone.
Oh my God.
It's going to be trouble. I bring trouble in my midst.
Brilliant. Well, thank you, Mark. But moving swiftly
On
on
that note.
from the leprosy, Meghan Markle's holiday snaps. We did promise we'd talk about this. We've only got a few minutes left, but do you want to talk to us about those?
Yeah. What's fascinating, James, is to look underneath why. Because although I've been critical of Meg's, and I always will be, she's got some strengths. And one of the things that she's good at is being very strategic. So it's my understanding that she's got an absolute cache, a hoard of photographs over many years. We've seen evidence of that where, for example, we got an early courtship image of Harry and Meghan. I think it was on their anniversary. So we'd never seen that before.
Yeah.
On Archie's birthday, we got a picture of him as a baby, which we'd never seen before. So Meghan hoards. And what you're going to see is she's very patient. Like all strategic people who are good strategically are patient. She plays the waiting game. So we're getting drip, drip, drip. And what we're seeing now, I mean, you can only imagine, right? This will be the tip of the iceberg of the photographs from Althorp House and from, the beach holidays and all the rest of it. Are there photographs of the Highgrove House encounter? I'm sure there are. And Meghan will be saving those for an Instagram drop at some point, maybe when they've fallen out with the royal family, maybe for the book Spare 2, this time it's personal, or Meghan's book, Meghan My Story. So, A, the photographs are very worrying, and B, it's probably the tip of the iceberg. So if we go through it, you've got the photograph of them at the seaside with the waves and everything. Well, that had direct parallels to Diana's holidays with William and Harry when they were children.
Yep.
This, my view, is Meghan is trying to tap into the intellectual property, the brand of Diana, and I'm calling it Project Diana. And it's to tie the Sussex brand in with Diana's legacy, which they're just taking for free. And I've got no doubt William won't be happy about that. Will there be a Netflix documentary produced by Harry about Diana next year? But that image, now you could say to me, Dolan, you're imagining this. How can you make the Diana link? Well, it was made by People magazine. What would you say as a top journalist? What would you say?
Well, look, they clearly get briefed by Meghan's people, right? They're sort of briefed by Camp Sussex. So make of that what you will.
Yeah, this is exactly it. And therefore, I think it's very significant that people are drawing the Diana parallels, because either that's been planted by the Sussexes or they've interpreted it in a way that favours what the Sussexes' ambitions are. And then, of course, the other killer photograph was, you've got Harry and Meghan pretending to be happily married, but the big one was the kids at Althorp House. By the way, some of my viewers on the Mark Dolan show are saying they think it was Highgrove, but it's my understanding it was Althorp. Okay. But again, as Maureen Callahan, our mutual friend at the Daily Mail, pointed out, have you ever seen photographs of William and Catherine and their kids at Althorp?
No.
Which is a sacred place because it's Diana's childhood home, and more importantly, it's where she was laid to rest. And they've decided to go and have some pictures, And by the way, so here's my interpretation of why we got the photograph of Althorp. By the way, I think you're supposed to say Althorp. People have been telling me off saying it's Althorp, but it's spelled Althorp, but I believe that you're supposed to say, if you're posh, you say Althorp. You're supposed to swallow it because posh people are weird. But why did we get the Althorp image? And the answer is, Walker, it's the victory lap. It was the photo that Meghan wanted from Highgrove House that she didn't get because Charles said no photos. She needed documentary proof. And so that was her subtle way, amid all of the other photographs, Portugal, all the rest of it. That was the one. It was sort of hidden in plain sight, like a Trojan horse. Yep. She gets that image out, and that's her way of saying, we're back. And I know she's not in the photograph, but Meghan and, Lily and Archie are. They're an extension of her brand. It's job done.
Quite, Mark. Well, look, that's all we've got time for today. Actually, no, it's not all we've got time for today. We're going to be doing something else. We're going to cover one more story, and it's a bombshell, isn't it, Mark? It's massive.
It's mahoosive.
It's about a Netflix deal with a certain royal. Make of that what you will. You can only watch it, though, if you join Club Expresso. How much is Club Expresso, Mark? Take a guess.
It's very, well, I mean, because it's that good, I would have thought it's maybe $50 or $60 a month.
No, $2.99 a month. Less than the price of a cup of coffee. And you get exclusive episodes every week with Mark and JJ, or Mark and me in this case. And you get to watch every episode without adverts. None of the sponsorships, none of the YouTube ads. Just clean Mark and JJ, everyone else on the roster, right? It's all just $2.99. $2.99. What a steal. Anyway, look, hope you enjoyed this episode. All you got to do to join Club Expresso is hit the link in the description below and in the pinned comment. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye for now.
Right, a quick pause in the podcast to tell you about our sponsor, Incogni. You had those phone calls from numbers you don't recognise, or you go in your inbox and there's emails for stuff you did not sign up for. Well, that's because someone somewhere is selling your private information. That's where today's sponsor comes in, Incogni. They will contact these people who have been taking your information, and they'll say, oi, stop. Delete it. Go to the website, incogni.com. You type in the details. 2 minutes later, Incogni is sorting it out for you automatically. And because I love you, I've got you a discount. It ain't 10%, it ain't 20, 60% off. 60% off an annual Incogni plan. Just go to incogni.com/Daily Expresso or click the link in the episode description box below.